Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Anything Goes with Anna Rose. If you can't hear the shit-eating grin that I currently have on my face, then I don't know if you're listening hard enough. But if you are watching, you will note that I am officially recording the very first episode in our brand new podcast studios here at the Dreamhaus, which is an absolute dream come true. It is honestly wild. I also don't know what is more wild. I don't know if it's wild that I'm sitting in this stunning room that I literally had envisioned for years. I don't know if it's that only a couple of weeks ago this was still a concrete shell. I think that's more the thing that I am processing. Or if it's the fact that we are done. And I am sitting here recording this episode live from the Dreamhaus Studio, which is a legitimate dream come true. I am absolutely going to sit with Ryan in probably next week, and we will, of course, do an episode together. I'll let him pick which room he wants to record that in. We do have two. We have the yin and the yang room, which is the light and the dark, the feminine and the masculine. But we will sit and we will do a huge episode on what this has meant to us, the process, the highs, the lows, now it's done, the exhaustion, etc. I know we did it a couple of maybe 4 episodes ago, but we are done now. So I would love to sit back with him and just really have a chat around the lessons and the bigness of it all. But we do not have time for that yet, my friends. I cannot prioritize that yet. I had time today to do 2 quick back-to-back batched episodes, and I have been dying to talk about TAW Collective, finally having my brand TAW Collective under our roof here at the Dreamhaus Studio. And then I'm really and then you'll hear the next episode, which will be the episode after this. But the episode that felt most true and real for me to record in the time that we could prioritize, we leave for retreat tomorrow and we still have lots to do, which is so exciting, is about TAW Collective and just the enormity and specialness, essentially, that I now have it under my roof here, our roof here at the Dreamhaus Studio, and the plans with that and my strategy with that from day one. And all things TAW Collective. I thought it was a beautiful ode to speak about another company in my other company in a podcast room. So here we go. TAW Collective, the beautiful activewear brand I launched on the 9th of the 9th, 2023, with a mission to motivate 1 million women around the world to move like they love themselves, and in the process give back millions of profits along the way, is officially, after 16, 17 months, housed right upstairs, actually, just above me, which is just iconic, in the Dreamhaus Studio, in its own little separate warehouse space. What people don't know is actually, whilst we have moved into this space as well, I had negotiated to take over another completely separate and independent space, literally just opposite this studio, for TAW Collective independently. So that's currently getting built out. I am able to negotiate with the owners exactly what I want. They were so unbelievably, really beautifully and really humbly, but unbelievably impressed with what Ryan and I have done with these spaces, of course. And yeah, they're now just like, whatever you want. So I've negotiated to take over another space for TAW Collective, which is really, really exciting. And I'll speak more into that and just the strategy and plan I have around all of that. But 17 months ago, I did launch this brand, and it sincerely for me is a legacy company. TAW Collective was done with the idea of integrating Web 2 and Web 3, in that I had created the Awakened Woman first. And for those of you who listen and you don't know what TAW stands for, TAW, so TAW Collective, is actually an acronym, obviously, for the Awakened Woman. So when you wear TAW Collective or TAW Co, which is its cute little nickname, then the energy embedded into that brand is you as an awakened woman, and what that means to you, and how that feels to you as you go and you move like you love yourself. So there is so much intention and energy and love steeped into that brand. But I did start it 17 months ago, 18 months ago, with the mission also, of course, to motivate 1 million women, as I said, to move like they love themselves. And that second piece and the back end of, and give back millions, hopefully, of profit along the way, because this is a legacy company, is all to do with the NFT, which was its sister's company, or sister company. It is, one does not exist without the other. Literally, the Awakened Woman came first, but I started the Awakened Woman with TAW Collective in mind. So I wanted to create a company, a merchandise, a clothes brand, something that I could sell and give 50% of profits from that company back to my community, essentially, which I was able to do and can do through the genius of the blockchain. So that's how this whole thing works, right? And I launched TAW Collective, obviously, after The Awakened Woman, which I launched on 8th of the 8th, 2022, Lions Portal. And I did TAW, as I said, knowing that TAW Collective was coming. That was 18 months ago, 17, 18 months ago. Along that journey has been, TAW Collective for sure is by far my most stressful. This is now obviously the highest risk, but it was the most stressful, riskiest, exhaustive, just beast of a company that I have ever done. I had never done, obviously, merchandising before. I'd never done designing before. I had never done a product before. All my other companies that came before that, firstly, one was network marketing. So that was just purely selling products on behalf of another company, which is, I still think, the most genius and generous business plan in the world. But I was in network marketing for 8 years. That was my first business, earned millions in that, which was incredible and set me up, obviously. The second one was Self-Love School, which is my soul's work. It's why I have been put on this earth. My third was then The Awakened Woman. And my fourth is TAW Collective. My fifth is now the Dreamhaus. And then within that ecosystem of companies and businesses as well, I also run my Inner Circle, which is my high-level coaching and retreats. So realistically, at any one time, I am managing or earning from 7 different companies or businesses now, which is an incredible feat. I'm really, really proud. But ultimately, TAW Collective for me is actually the legacy company. It is the one that I look at that I am planning on growing to the likes of Lululemon, Lorna Jane, CSB. I mean, they're probably the biggest that I think in the world. And that's where I plan on. LSKD, my God, he's just done like $100 million a year. So that's where I absolutely plan on going with TAW Collective. The effort, the energy, the ethos, the love, the time, everything that I pour into that is one goal and one goal only, which is global domination and profitability, high profitability, to give back to my community, which have given so much to me. And so when I started TAW Collective, I absolutely began with the end in mind. And that's just a little business tip for all you incredible women out there playing along. That's how I live and breathe any company. So anything I begin, and those that work for me, I know Katie's editing this right now, she'll be smiling. I always say that to her, always begin with the end in mind. Where do you want to end up? And then reverse engineer that. So when I started TAW Collective, there was so much there is still so much that I intend to do. I just said it, global domination, as much profitability as possible to give back. And then also there was things that I was acutely aware of that I didn't want to happen in the early days, one of them, which is virability, you can't help. If it goes viral, it goes viral, which is, of course would be incredible, but not always. And I will talk about that in a moment. But there were little things that I really didn't want to happen with the brand either. One is, I've just said it, I didn't want it to go viral. I knew that I wouldn't be ready for that. The production that I have with China manufacturing, there's too slow of a turnaround, knowing business as well and knowing how markets work, and the hype of anything. I desired for TAW Collective to be this really beautiful, safe is the absolute key word, slow burn. And in reality, although it has been partly that for sure, it also actually hasn't. It has been a multiple six-figure brand in terms of cost and revenue, which is incredible. If you are an awakened woman, you jump onto the boardroom call every quarter, you know the exact dollar amounts, but it has been a freaking beast. But I wanted it to be a slower burn. It's a legacy company. What I didn't want to happen was to come in to fuck around and find out too fast, grow too big, too quick, invest way too much capital up the front end of just all mine, essentially, and have it not sell or not have tested the market well enough or not get an understanding of what women actually want when I am utilizing 100% organic marketing at this point still. So there were so many decisions that I made before I even launched that no one has any idea about. There are so many micro decisions that I make every single day. There's so many elements that I have withheld, aka I have not gone even onto TikTok yet. There's an account, but we've kind of bumped some things on there. But TikTok is absolutely where you can go viral. So there's been all of these business decisions that I have made along the way. And one also being putting it at a 3PL, which is where TAW Collective has been housed for the 17 months, 18 months it's been in existence, which has been phenomenal. But the end goal, beginning with the end in mind, to bring it in-house, for it to have its own warehouse, was always the end goal. And so sitting here in my new podcast studio, in my new 5th company at the Dreamhaus Studio, having the brand sit in its beautiful brand new warehouse upstairs is an absolute dream come true. And it was in the exact succession that I had planned it, that I hoped I could pull it off in. Honestly, it's actually earlier than I thought that I would do it for sure. I had said this to Katie, to Ryan, to Jess, to Kel, to anyone in my world. Like within 5 years, it would be phenomenal for it to have its own warehouse. But here we are, 18 months in. But you have to be so careful and you have to be so strategic and you have to be so mindful, especially when you are a woman disrupting with a business model that's never been done in the world to share profits with its community. There's an inordinate amount of pressure that I put on myself. There is an inordinate amount of decisions that I have to make every single day, every single week, every single month, to be mindful of the position that I'm putting the company in, and moving it here was such a blessed strategic one, because I'm about to save it thousands of dollars a month because TAW Collective is absorbed essentially in the cost of the Dreamhaus. And that's how I do business. I've inadvertently, in the 12 years I've been an entrepreneur, a CEO, I say, I build companies to pay for the next company. I build companies to absorb costs for costs in other companies. So having TAW Collective move upstairs for the next like 6-ish months, 6 to 8 months, whilst I then grow it, because I now have its own photo shoot studio. I have the warehouse to freaking film that the founder gets to pack orders, is really, really special and really, really exciting. And then I can save on rent, essentially, because the Dreamhaus is paying for that. I can save on cost of the 3PL. So every single time someone at the 3PL like packed an order, that cost TAW Collective, essentially. Of course, that's how a 3PL makes their money. And that's how I chose to do it, because it was too big a brand to ship from a lounge room from the get-go. I could never have shipped from a lounge room or a garage. But it was also, and beginning with the end in mind, I just didn't want to. It was never going to be a lounge room brand. It was just never going to be a lounge room brand. So I went for the 3PL, which was perfect. Would not change that for the world. Would do it and highly encourage 3PLs. If you do have more than too much stock for a lounge room, but like not enough stock for a warehouse, is basically when I think you should go with a 3PL. And so I did that, and now it's moved into Dreamhaus, or it's moved into its own little warehouse upstairs for the next 6 to 8 months, whilst I grow the brand, as I said, because I now also have a shoot space that I'm not charging TAW Collective for. I have content that I can create with my own product because I'm touching it and I'm seeing it and I'm in it every single day. I'm completely reconnected to my brand. I can tell the brand story, which fucking excites me endlessly. And then in 6 to 8 months, I will be absolutely shifting it across the driveway into its own dream space. Let me tell you the exciting things that I'm not going to share what we are cooking up. Like, the owner is allowing me to dream up in that space. But yeah, the fact that we have had poured our heart and souls and investment into this space and just proven how phenomenal we are essentially as tenants. Yeah, we are very blessed. We're in a very blessed position essentially. And so I was in there even the other day with the builder because I'm literally watching it get created. And he was measuring up where the mezzanine was going to go. And I was like, no, I want it higher. Put the mezz higher. Like, I want a high mezz because the roof is so stunning in there. It's like 9 meters or something. It's huge or higher. And I said, no, I want a higher mezzanine for some secret squirrel reasons as well, which all will be revealed. But yeah, and so he was like, amazing, perfect. How high do you want it? And I was like, well, out comes the stick. We obviously, the owner came down, who's an engineer, and we obviously make sure it's code, but I was like, as high as it can go. So there's just so much beautiful excitement around TAW Collective at the moment because of the safe, smart, slow decisions that I have made with the brand to get it to this point where it is really standing more of its own, where it can make these strategic decisions. And when I say it, I mean me. I can make these more strategic decisions for the company, which is really, really exciting. And in the next 6 to 8 months, just really focus on saving as much money in the bank for it and with it as possible, get it hopefully profitable. And then, yeah, get it into its own space because it will have grown so much. There's a plan B with that space as well because the demand on this place already is insane. So Ryan and I were like, if TAW isn't ready, then what we're creating over there anyway is still photo shoot aesthetic because obviously I want TAW to have its own very unique brand space that no one can actually hire. In the beginning or at all, but if TAW isn't ready to move across yet, if I don't want to make that call, then we've got plan B for that space as well. So, and the demand, let me tell you, is there. So it's just a beautiful position to be in. I'm going to do a way bigger episode with Ryan on obviously the Dreamhaus itself, but from a TAW Collective perspective, that's where I'm at with it. It's exciting. I'm really proud. I'm really grateful. I'm really humbled. I'm excited. I think if I had to pick an energy that I am the most, it's excited. And I think if I can pass on any nuggets of gold in this episode in just sharing my own story with TAW Collective, essentially, I said, actually, I want to go to this viral piece. Virability is phenomenal. It's exciting if you've got the stock, if you've got the product to then back it up, right? If you've got the systems in place that you can actually pump out hundreds or thousands of orders if you go viral. The thing is, if you fuck that up, if something goes viral and you're a new, fresh, young company or a fucking old, like an old and established company, and I'm going to give a specific example in a minute, that can also ruin you. Like, that can absolutely ruin a company. And I listened to a brilliant podcast recently. I'll actually get it. My beautiful best friend Shani sent it to me and she said, I need you to listen to this episode. And I'm so grateful for the brilliant founder who went on and told the truth. I'll link this episode in the show notes. But it was a podcast called Working Hard with Grace Beverly. And she interviewed a woman called Sarah Ashcroft, who closed a company. I've never heard of it. I think it was a UK brand, she's from the UK, but it was SLA. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh, I knew that brand, I love that brand, you will know that it went into liquidation. So she had to What is she? I want to get it right. No, she doesn't say. It just says that it was closing. But essentially, on the episode, she talks about how the company did, in fact, go into chosen liquidation, in essence. So she had to shut it down and get all the lawyers and stuff in, and it's done now. But in that episode, and again, I want to say, I'm going to link it in the show notes, but this was something I was already acutely aware of and have spoken about. If you are a TAW holder, I absolutely want you to listen to that episode, because on every boardroom call since TAW's inception, and then when I have spoken into my plan and strategy and structure and decision making around TAW Collective, it has always been legacy. I don't need to go fast. I don't need virability yet. When I'm fucking Lululemon LSKD level, absolutely. Lather me up in virability 100%. We'll obviously have the system, structures, and stock. But until such time, it can be exceedingly dangerous for a company to go viral. Because first of all, you burn your name if you do not live up to the standard. If you don't have the stock, if you can't get stock quick enough, if your shipping is too slow, there is just so much that can go wrong. And so I've been really strategically careful about letting it be this really beautiful, slow, organic burn. And I am in this stunning position now because I've allowed it to be that way, that I have moved it across into the Dreamhaus, right? It is going to sit up there for 6 to 8 months before it then absolutely moves into an even bigger, even more like best fucking warehouse for an activewear brand. I was going to say athleisure, which it is, but in Australia across the driveway. But I'm able to make these moves now because of the speed, which has been slower and strategic and careful that I've moved at. So in the episode, Ashley talks about, listen, just make sure you listen to it. But in it, I just want to make sure I got her name right. Yeah. Sarah, sorry. Yeah. So Sarah talks about basically they went viral a few times, and she said it fucked them somewhat. Like that was a reason that things went askew because there was so much demand. They ordered an inordinate amount of stock, didn't do quality control on it, which actually blew my goddamn mind. But yeah, so didn't do quality control on the stock. Just the restock of stock, which was their best sellers, went out without quality control, and all of the stock was cooked. It wasn't, and this is Sarah's own words, right? The fabric was different. The colors weren't like if you bought a red dress, you got it and it was blue. If you bought a dress with diamantes, the diamantes were missing. Like it was just an enormous manufacturing fuck up. But essentially, they had to pull all of that stock immediately, and obviously went back to their manufacturer and started to fix that. But because they hadn't done quality control and they had started to sell it, and she fully goes into this, listen to the episode, that was it, basically. There was not much they could do. So from a legal perspective. And there was no contracts in place. So, but she also really talks about like viral, when they went viral multiple times, it was actually hurting them. And I was like, I need my whole TAW community to listen to this because they're going to be like, fuck, Anna talked about this. I've talked about this. So it's just, you cannot imagine, my loves, if you're listening to this and you have no business, one business, even two businesses. I am now at five businesses, 4 companies I started, but 7 businesses I ultimately run or earn from at any one time, plus a podcast. It is a lot. And there is a lot that goes on in my head at any one time. There is a lot of decision making that I constantly have to make. There is a lot of strategic decisions that I am constantly thinking about. There is a lot of risks that I am constantly taking on individually. I don't have, other than now the Dreamhaus, Ryan is a 50-50 business partner. But my other 4 companies, I don't have a business partner, right? That is all TAW. I will never have a business partner on that. TAW Collective, I will never, ever have a business partner on that. My community is essentially my business partnerships or collaborators, because they are who I work my guts out for day and night to get it profitable, to give it back to them. But yeah, there's just so much that I'm constantly having to move on, to decide on, to take a risk on. And I have to be so careful whilst being risk averse and making big risky decisions as well all of the time, which I absolutely do. And learning or winning at any given point in any given day on any given decision, it is just a lot. And what I'm most proud of is as I sit here today in my beautiful new podcast studio, this entire fit out, so this 5th company was paid for 100% cash. Yet again, no loans, no investors, doesn't affect our lifestyle. If it fucking went belly up, we would absolutely be okay. We have plan B, C, D, E. I'm proud. I'm exceedingly proud. And it's a beautiful position to be in. I want to say that. It's a really beautiful position to be in. So I hope you got something from that. Even if it's just like, fuck yeah for TAW Collective, fuck yeah for the Awakened Woman. If you either wear and rep the brand TAW Collective, thank you from the bottom of my heart. There is so much to come. I am slower, and I am slower for a reason. I actually pulled back on some collections because I'm like, even then I was going too fast. I was like, I think I've done 4 enormous collections, big collections in multiple colorways, with multiple designs in the last 18 months, which is fucking insane. Jess, my manufacturing manager, was laughing with me the other day, and she's like, babe, huge companies launch with like 2 things or like 1 crop, and you've done like 7. So slow down, calm down. But it has all been perfect. It is all exactly as I hoped. In fact, I have been able to, and it's not even that I'm pulling back because I'm here now. So I'm like, right, we're going to do a huge restock, which is really exciting. And then I've got that 5th collection coming, but it's brilliant and powerful and unbelievable that I get to now tell the brand story from my own and its own space and place, which is really, really cool. So I hope if you got anything from this, it's that you're willing to take risks. I hope if you got anything from this, it's that you can take a breath and go, sometimes slow is actually better. Safe is actually better. Careful is actually smarter. And I just hope that you are a woman that absolutely goes for her goals and her dreams with such wild fucking audacity. People look at you and go, she's unstoppable, because you are. And I hope if I am anything, I'm just a permission bearer when you look at me. And yeah, the way that I am doing business, that's just what I hope to impart the most in the podcast, in the way that I coach, in my businesses, in my offerings, and all that I am and all that I do. So I will leave it there. But until next time, stay wild, my friends, and I will see you on the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Anything Goes. And if today's episode gave you maybe a new perspective, a little bit of a laugh, you learned something new, or just loved our trip to Taboo Town if we went there, it would honestly mean the world to me if you could leave me some love with writing a review and sharing this episode to your socials. You have no idea how much that helps my little podcast get out in the world. If you love what you gain from these conversations weekly with me as well and want more than just listening in, come and join my inner circle. It's my monthly mastermind where for just $47 a month, the real magic happens. You get me up close, no filter, live coaching. And if you get what you get from this free podcast, imagine what you get in a paid container. Links are in the show notes, friends. And until next time, stay wild.